Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight as our SummerSlam coverage rolls on with tonight's Raw after SummerSlam, which has a whole lot more in common with last night's SummerSlam pay-per-view than you may realize. Both shows featured one truly enjoyable matchup, one epic and unforgettable moment, and one main event that tried to be a whole lot cooler than it actually was. One thing that tonight's Monday Night Raw had that we didn't hear about last night was the impending return of the King of the Ring tournament. And what could possibly be wrong with that? What could possibly be wrong with tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw? What could possibly be wrong with the layout? Do you spot it right now before I fix it? We're going to talk about all of it and so much more on tonight's Sledgehammer Wrestling Show Monday Night Raw review. My name is Nick Nightmare. Let's do it. Whew. The legit boss makes her return with a vengeance to Monday Night Raw, as that is the top story of the night for sure. Sasha Banks going to work blue tonight as she comes in to rain on Natty's parade a little bit harder and makes an unforgettable and shocking return following SummerSlam, the biggest moment of tonight's Monday Night Raw. What do you guys think about Sasha Banks' return? What do you think about her blue hair? I want to know all about it. Make sure you let me know in the comments down below. I was very excited to see Sasha Banks come out. I immediately recognized the fact that she was wearing a wig. That shit did not look real to me whatsoever, and I kind of could sense what was coming and what happened. It was even better than I could imagine. This is the real Sasha Banks. If your only experience with Sasha Banks is knowing of her from what they have shown you over the last 3 years on Monday Night Raw, then you have no idea what you are in store for. This is what so many of us have been calling and screaming out for. The Sasha Banks heel turn has happened upon her return to Monday Night Raw. She took out Natalya with a fury that we haven't seen out of Sasha Banks in quite some time. And then Becky Lynch coming out to try to make the save because she still respects Natalya and whatnot. She's the head of the division. She's going to defend it with all her might. And they went at it, and it was an absolute brawl, and these girls got me fired up and amped up for what's to come. Finally injecting a shot of life into the women's division for the first time since I don't even know when. And it is the only thing outside of Bray Wyatt that there is to be excited about happening right now in the WWE. There was no Bray Wyatt sighting tonight, and the fact that we can have an exciting moment without Bray Wyatt and the Firefly Funhouse being a part of an episode of Monday Night Raw is a positive thing. And there's really nothing wrong with the return of Sasha Banks. The return of the King of the Ring, however, there's a whole lot wrong with this. I love the King of the Ring. It is probably just like many of you. It doesn't make me special that I love the King of the Ring. I don't love it any harder or any less than any one of you. It is a treasured moment in our memory banks when we have seen so many of the legends, some of them that they wanted to highlight tonight in the promotional package. It's something that is very special to wrestling fans, and it's something that needs to truly be planned and truly be taken care with in the booking. And at least you would assume that if they're going to do a King of the Ring, they're going to give a shit about it, right? But no, the WWE didn't do the right thing. They came right out tonight and said, hey, we're going to start the King of the Ring next week. In fact, the way the announcement was given to us made me believe that the King of the Ring was actually going to take place all in one night, which I would actually be okay with. That's not really a problem. The problem is the fact with that we got 7 days to go before we are going to officially start the King of the Ring, no matter how they plan to deliver the format to us. And nobody has qualified. Isn't isn't that part of the thing for King of the Ring? The WWE has officially announced 16 individuals that are going to take part in the King of the Ring. Let me pull them up for you guys right now. And it is going to be split. 8 men representing Raw, 8 men representing SmackDown. How we are supposed to keep track of that, I don't know, because I don't remember who really fucking belongs anywhere after the stupid wildcard shenanigans we've had to put up with. On the SmackDown Live side of things, we have a pretty decent field. We have Ali, we have Andrade, we have Apollo Crews, Buddy Murphy, Chad Gable. All acceptable. It starts to go a little bit off the rails because now we have Elias as number 6. Number 7 is Kevin Owens, who is one of the rare superstars on the roster that I don't think needs to be coronated as a King of the Ring. The guy's already over like gangbusters. He doesn't need a King of the Ring. King of the Ring is supposed to be used to get somebody who's having trouble getting over that hump. And Kevin Owens is not a guy that needs that kind of a push. And then there's Shelton Benjamin. Now, just off of this list from SmackDown Live, half of this list can be eliminated because none of these guys have done anything to earn even the possibility of being in a King of the Ring. Shelton Benjamin hasn't even said a word in months. He keeps walking off on camera. What makes him worthy of possibly being the King of the Ring? Chad Gable has been missing in action. What, he got a new haircut? He looks more like Kurt Angle. Now he deserves to be King of the Ring since Kurt was King of the Ring once? What the hell is the qualifications? What are the rules? What do you need to have in order to be a consideration for King of the Ring? According to this list for SmackDown Live, you don't need to be anything. According to the list from Raw, the first name on the list pretty much says that you could be a loser. You could be somebody that the WWE doesn't want to see at all. You could be somebody who has lost the last 4, maybe 5 attempts that you were gifted at the WWE Universal Championship. Baron Corbin, who has been missing in action for weeks, much to my pleasure, and is now going to make his return to ruin the King of the Ring. The only reason for him to return to the King of the Ring probably means Vince is going to make him win the King of the Ring, but let's not get too far off track. Let's continue with the list. They have Cesaro. That's fine. I can accept that. Cedric Alexander has been featured in a prominent role with Drew McIntyre, so that would make some sense, and it would also make sense to have Drew McIntyre, who is number 5 on this list, or 4 on this list, rather. We have Ricochet, who, with the exception of tonight's win on Monday Night Raw, looks like a freaking loser lately as it is. I don't know why he deserves to maybe be King of the Ring. Why? Just because his Twitter handle is King Ricochet? So we got to put him in the King of the Ring? And then there's Sami Zayn, which you can pretty much take the same argument for Ricochet and for Shelton Benjamin and for everybody else I mentioned that don't deserve to be here. Sami Zayn has done nothing but lose. He's been made to look like a fool, but he's allowed to be in the King of the Ring. Samoa Joe, fine. The Miz, why? The Miz don't even give a shit that he lost his match at SummerSlam. He deserves to be the King of the Ring. I don't know. So what I would do here, you got 16 names, right? You take that and you make 8 qualifying matches, which immediately halves the field before you start the tournament, and now each of these matches have something behind them. All of these guys deserve to be there, and now we can start the journey to see who ultimately becomes the King of the Ring. So already they have ruined it. Already they have shown that they don't give a shit about it. And the fact that it is going to take over the course of multiple weeks, and we're not having the qualifying week, and then maybe the first round and the second round take place over the course of the next 2 weeks, culminating to a network special to generate people wanting to buy the network as a separate entity to itself. You can do it for fucking Smackville, but you can't do it for King of the Ring. You have to have it on Monday Night Raw. You know what that means? That means that they're only doing it to generate a pop in the Raw rating, and they don't really give a shit. The fact that they came out and named all 16 men following Monday Night Raw tonight, as per WrestlingInc.com, is all the proof I need to let you know that I am right. So those were the 2 big things coming out of Monday Night Raw. Sasha Banks, great. King of the Ring, great. Like, I'm excited about it if they handle it right, even though they went about the announcement wrong, even though there's no qualifiers. if we get quality matchups that make it seem like these guys actually want to win, matchups that last longer than 3 minutes, then I can maybe get behind it, and hopefully they coronate somebody deserving as the King of the Ring. We could speculate from here till Kingdom Come as to who's going to win this thing, but there's not enough time in the world for that. Let's get through tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, because outside of that and the Drew McIntyre Cedric Alexander match, tonight was Monday Night Raw business as usual. Seth Rollins came out and had absolutely no gusto to him, which you can maybe forgive because of the near-death experience he had last night going up against the Beast Brock Lesnar and coming out victorious as our new Universal Champion. But man, you want to talk about a guy looking like he's not even excited to be around at work. It was just a little bit off-putting to me. He doesn't seem to care too much that he's the new Universal Champion. Maybe it's because he's hurt. Maybe it's because he's just a dweeb. Maybe he just comes off differently now. The WWE's making everybody look so pathetic lately that it's hard for me to really get behind anybody. Even a guy that I was really behind, like a Seth Rollins, just a few short months ago. He said that he went into the matchup not knowing if he could defeat Brock Lesnar, but he made the promise to us, and then he came out and he did what he did, and now he stands here the Universal Champion. All of a sudden, AJ Styles and the OC decided to show up and ruin Seth Rollins' party. AJ Styles issues a challenge. He says that he's the real champion because he's the United States champion. He wants to have a champion versus champion match versus Seth Rollins, and he wants to have it tonight. Obviously, AJ Styles is a smart man. He's issuing this challenge knowing that Seth Rollins is not at 100%, and he wants to take advantage of the situation and get an easy win over the current WWE Universal Champion. So the story behind it is fine. I don't know if I was really that interested in it. We just pretty much seen Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. This is coming out of left field. We're having a champion versus champion match just out of the blue, out of nowhere, with no previous build, no story really put behind it. This could be the beginning of something that turns into a good story, but as far as a launching point, this was a terrible way to really go about it. It was just so random. Just so random. And it's like, we don't give a shit about Ricochet anymore. We beat him by devious means, and now we're just going to move on. And apparently Ricochet didn't give too much of a shit either, so why should we care, I guess, right? I don't even know why I even care so much. So after the OC almost jumped the champion, but decided not to, we went backstage where the Street Profits were back there, and then Sami Zayn shows up. I feel like Sami Zayn has been given the role of playing us. You know what I mean when I say us? Us sledgeheads, us guys like you and I, and ladies like you, and guys like me, who feel the way we feel about the WWE. How we try to call them out on all the things that we see that is wrong with their shows, and Sami Zayn is taking a very similar approach with all the things he's saying. He sounds like a Smart Mark fan. And the way that they're treating him in the ring, and just as of late, makes me feel like it's an inside joke. Not Sammy's the inside joke, but he's actually playing along, and maybe he's even getting off on it because he hates wise-ass Smart Marks just as much as everybody else on the roster, and maybe they're doing this just for shits and giggles and making him have one of our voices, making all of the complaints that we're making, and then having him just get decimated and being made to look like a jerk-off, like he doesn't even know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. And that is definitely not who Sami Zayn is. Sami Zayn was in this altercation with the Street Profits, and they ended up getting him to say some shit about Samoa Joe, who was actually standing right behind Sami Zayn, of course, which was going to lead Joe to be pissed off and challenge Sami Zayn to a match later on this night. He then pushed Sami Zayn clear across the backstage area, and we would have this matchup. Samoa Joe defeated Sami Zayn in less than a minute. And you're going to tell me what I said about Sami Zayn is wrong? Why does Sami Zayn even want to be employed anymore? Really? At this point, you made a comeback. You were starting to get a little bit hot again when they put you with Owens. And then once again, just like they did the first time, they separated the two of you and they made Sami Zayn the jerk-off and Kevin Owens the superstar. It's just the way I see it. Samoa Joe, after this matchup, cut a heel promo where he forgave Roman Reigns but decided he's not going to ever forgive the fans. And I think that was just him trying to make sure the fans still know that he's a heel, even though tonight he went up against Sami Zayn. Don't cheer me because I beat Sami Zayn, who you guys are booing because he's a heel, because I still hate each and every one of you fans. That was essentially the gist of what the Samoan submission machine was trying to say. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. This happened. That's everything I could tell you wrong. Right there. What's wrong with this segment? It happened. It happened from start to finish. Dolph Ziggler should be half dead in a Toronto hospital, laid up with his ribs in a cast and all kinds of shit after what he was put through last night at SummerSlam at the hands of Bill Goldberg. And this guy's flopping out there, selling the injury at first, insulting the Kabuki Warriors by wearing one of their t-shirts. Isn't it bad enough what was going to happen to them later on this evening? You had to go out there and embarrass them by putting their shirt on your ridiculous loser ass. And then Dolph Ziggler goes out to have this match. He dupes The Miz into kind of feeling bad for him before all of a sudden Dolph Ziggler was fine. We had a match and The Miz defeated Dolph Ziggler, somewhat playing up to some of the injuries he sustained last night, but the way Dolph Ziggler just sprang to life just made everything so unbelievable. I know it's wrestling and I know we're supposed to buy in, but you make it hard for me to buy in when this is only 24 hours later. Dolph Ziggler should have been nowhere near this show. Maybe not even near next week's show as well, to sell the devastation that he was put through. I guess Bill Goldberg just isn't as strong as he used to be. Otherwise, Dolph Ziggler would pretty much be dead. But tonight he's on Monday Night Raw, wrestling The Miz for the 27th time, for no reason at all, with nothing at stake, and with nobody's interest at all. Great job. Great job. Then they do the same shtick that they did last night with this moron. Ziggler loses to The Miz and then wants to start talking shit to The Miz while he's holding his ribs. Blah, blah, I'm not crying anymore, but I'm hurt and I'm gonna blah. Your wife is a better wrestler than you. Blah. You got no balls. Blah. What do you mean he's got no balls? He just kicked your ass. Dolph Ziggler looks like a blabbering idiot, and I just can't stand it anymore. This whole entire thing was absolutely pointless. It did nothing for nobody. Backstage, we had an interview with Becky Lynch. Charlie Caruso was conducting this interview, but then Becky Lynch just grabbed the microphone, took it over. She talked about how much respect she had for Natalya, how she would go after anyone who ever did her wrong and wasn't here to make friends. All of a sudden, Becky Lynch gives a shit about people making friends? This is the man. This is the woman that was going to break Ronda Rousey's arm. This is a woman that was ready to bash Natalya's brains in. And now she's going to stand up for all the girls who need friends? Where are we going with this? It would make a little bit more sense. She was foreshadowing the events that would happen later on with Natalya. She advised that the other women to come after her, or she is going to end up coming after them. Ooh, everybody's scared of the man, right? Everybody except one. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Oh boy, Elias was in the ring. He was talking about how everybody interrupts him, all the Hall of Famers interrupted him, and then he gave somebody the chance to interrupt him. He said, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to come out so that once I start my performance, nobody comes out. And then, of course, nobody comes out. He starts his performance, and then Ricochet comes out. And we are going to have a matchup between Ricochet and Elias for some reason. This match barely even went 5 minutes. They messed up a big spot. It looked like to me it was supposed to be a head scissors takedown, but it just didn't go right. This is the kind of people you're putting in there against a new talent like Ricochet, who needs to be protected, who needs to be in there with somebody who knows how to work so that he can come out looking his best, and you put him in there against Elias, who's probably so damn rusty from being on the sidelines for so long and only being used sporadically, that it definitely showed in this matchup. This was not anything to write home about. This was not a good outing for Ricochet. At the end of the day, it was just a regular matchup that made no sense to anything that was actually going on, and Ricochet defeats Elias. That's the best thing to come out of it. Ricochet is back on the winning track. At least he got one win before he was announced for the King of the Ring. I guess we could take the positive from that. The one thing that was off at the end of this matchup, which I don't know if it was a botch or if this was actually planned, but during the pinfall attempt, Elias's shoulder was not really pinned to the mat. It looked to me as if he was trying to get it down for Ricochet because maybe he was supposed to lose cleanly, but it doesn't look like that's the case. They're going to definitely have to follow it up, especially since they made light of it, and the announce team made a point to point it out. They did show the replay of it, so even if it was unintentional, it's going to have to be played out as if it was the plan all along, which could be true, but I don't expect that to be the case. We'll never know the truth, but I don't think that was supposed to happen. It was just another botch by Elias because they haven't let him stay nice and crisp in the ring. They let him go out and look like a jerk and play his music, and this is what you get. This is what you get. They announced SummerSlam was going to be in Boston next year. Sorry, Bostonians. That's all I could say. I know I'm a New Yorker, and you guys in Boston, we don't usually get along, but I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you. I know SummerSlam was in my neck of the woods a couple of years in a row, but all of those SummerSlams were terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, with the exception of NXT coming to your town, you have absolutely nothing to look forward to next year, I'm sure. The WWE had the balls to put on a 2 out of 3 falls matchup, and to announce this way and to do this way really did not make any sense at all. First of all, coming off of the 2 out of 3 falls match we just seen at NXT TakeOver Toronto, there is no reason for this match to exist. Because these two guys, Cole and Gargano, went nearly an hour, and then you give us a 2 out of 3 falls match that lasts about 6 minutes. How is that even a 2 out of 3 falls match? And then you got to take into consideration that this match contains Rey Mysterio. And this goes back down that line I was telling you before, the WWE painting everybody out to look like complete, pathetic losers. Rey Mysterio goes out there, he loses the first fall thanks to the interference of Zelina Vega within seconds. I mean, we're talking, it had to have been less than a full minute for sure. And then the second fall immediately resumes. They didn't take the commercial break, which was the reason that is always given for this 2 out of 3 falls matchup. And then they went a couple of more minutes before Andrade Cien Almas would eventually win 2 straight falls over Rey Mysterio, a former world champion, a future Hall of Famer, and a guy that I have seen wrestle with Andrade solid 10 minutes easy on regular occasion when given the opportunity. And now you're having him lose twice in a row without giving him some sort of a bumper win in the middle because, I mean, the guy is a legend. Certainly makes Andrade look good, but you want to talk about making Rey Mysterio look bad. They didn't even give this match 10 minutes to let Rey Mysterio look like he's worth a damn. Then you have this guy in the back crying about his family. I have a family to feed. My family, my family. What? That's not Rey Mysterio. I don't know what the hell that was. You know what else I don't know what the hell that was? I don't know what the hell the point was of having Steve Austin come out here tonight and fluff up last night's main event and try to get everybody back on board with the architect Seth Rollins. That's all this was. This was Steve Austin telling the audience, hey, last night was great. Crack a beer to it. What? I said last night was great. What? Seth Rollins is great. What? You better like Seth Rollins. What? That's all that was. It was a Seth Rollins puff promo piece done by somebody that can actually do a solid promo. But let's be honest here, Stone Cold Steve Austin live via satellite is not Stone Cold Steve Austin at the Raw Reunion show. They announced Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to be on Monday Night Raw as if he was actually going to be on Monday Night Raw. And then we got him on Skype or via satellite or however they did it, but they definitely said it was on Skype. Nobody's Skype works that good. So I don't believe that's truly the case. We got Austin talking about how now he knows who Seth Rollins is. What? How do you know who Seth Rollins is? Did you not watch the last few weeks where he looked like a sniveling idiot? And now this dweeby nerd shows up at SummerSlam and beats the most devastating force in all of combat? I still don't get it. This whole thing was bullshit, man. It was Steve Austin giving his seal of approval to Seth Rollins so that the crowd can maybe feel good about being on his side again. Hey guys, if you love me and you love my IPA, you gotta love Seth Rollins. What? You gotta love that main event. What? That's all that shit was. Oh my God. Then we went back to the Street Profits backstage. They're trying to recover from all the partying they were doing at SummerSlam and celebrating their NXT TakeOver retention of the Tag Team Championships. They were trying to get Dawkins to be a little bit more lively. He was backstage chugging a gallon of water while the crowd chanted chug. This is what they got the Street Profits doing on Monday Night Raw. They just went out there on Saturday and killed it in a beautiful tag team classic with the Undisputed Era. And now they're just running jokes on Monday Night Raw like a couple of clowns. And I'm not supposed to have a problem with that. But then we have to see ridiculousness in the tag team division later. Meanwhile, one of the best tag teams you have sitting in the back telling jokes and drinking water. The best matchup tonight, hands down, Drew McIntyre defeated Cedric Alexander. And it was done the proper way, and it was done in a near 10-minute long encounter to be remembered. These two guys went out there and they killed it, man. These guys put on a fantastic matchup, and it's something that I've been telling you guys about this pairing from the beginning. If you know anything about wrestling, you know that a contrast in styles creates for the best matches, and you have the much smaller, much faster, much more agile, very athletic Cedric Alexander versus the tall and built, methodical, monstrous psychopath in Drew McIntyre. And what you got tonight was magical. What I would only say was wrong with this is that they should have held this off for this King of the Ring thing. If you were planning to have these two in that tournament, in the first round, it would have definitely set the bar and set the tone for the entire tournament to have to follow, and it would have made it great. Or what you could have done, or what they could do rather, since tonight they had such a great match, is you put Drew and you put Cedric on opposite ends of the brackets, and you have to hope for them to cross paths again so that we could see such a great match. Those are two ways they could go about it. Who knows what the King of the Ring is going to have in store for these two men. What I do know was tonight's match was one for the books as Drew McIntyre defeated Cedric Alexander in one of the best matches on Monday Night Raw I have seen in quite some time. Do you realize that a near 7 foot tall Drew McIntyre executed a Spanish fly with Cedric Alexander? Talk about athletic. Talk about passionate. That was a great match. If you want to go back and watch one thing on Monday Night Raw that was really worth watching, besides the Sasha Banks return, you want to watch a good match, this was the one. The OC had a meeting backstage. This was just AJ Styles wondering how many times Seth Rollins is going to have chances against Brock Lesnar, considering that AJ Styles was only given one chance. He did the too sweet and he called his brothers mother lovers. Come on, you mother lovers. I'm AJ Styles. Come on, mother lovers. Let's go to the Monday Night Raw ring and do something. This is my house that I built. It was just pretty cringeworthy stuff. They're going to make the OC look like a bunch of nerds. And it's just going to be awful. If this is the path we're on already, it's not going to get much better. They got to talk less, beat ass more, and I think we'll be all right. Paul Heyman was shown outside stumbling on his words to talk about the situation with Brock Lesnar because the WWE has deemed Brock Lesnar will have no more opportunities at the Universal Championship. Fine. Brock Lesnar doesn't need a Universal Championship. He's Brock freaking Lesnar. He could fight anybody and be the main event of the evening. And that's a sad truth, but it is the way the cookie crumbles. We had another meaningless matchup. We had Bobby Roode, Robert Roode, whatever you want to call him. All I know is you can call him fucking useless because he hasn't been around in forever, and then he comes back tonight to have a match that barely lasts 1 minute against No Way Jose. They didn't even show these guys coming out. Nobody gives a shit about it. I didn't. You don't. We could move on very quickly. They gave a much-needed win to Bobby Roode, but beating a guy like No Way Jose in a minute and a half or less is not impressive to me because that should just be what Bobby Roode does. So essentially this was a squashing of No Way Jose, who's another guy that is tremendously talented and has been underutilized and misbooked all over the place. This is the dichotomy of the WWE, ladies and gentlemen. The Revival went up against the Lucha House Party. This is probably matchup number 1,520 between these two teams, and it ended up in a no contest because instead of having a tag team division matchup, even though it was one we've seen a million times already, this could have been entertaining if they gave these guys a solid 10 minutes to go out and have an actual tag team match. They are all very capable individuals in that particular subject, but you'd never know that. Because 2 minutes into this thing, they send out the Clown Patrol. And out comes R-Truth with the, hey, look at me, I'm a clown, 24/7, avocado toast, gold-plated, waste of my entire wrestling life championship. Turning the entire segment into a joke. Suddenly, nobody gave a shit they were in a match. Everybody was trying to win the 24/7 championship. Somehow, the Revival both pinned R-Truth and became the first ever co-holders of the 24/7 Avocado Toast. I don't give a shit about what's happening on Raw right now championship. And then it ended up on R-Truth again, and then it ended up on Elias. And I can tell you with an uncertain truth that I could care less. I see so many people flipping out over this fucking title. Oh, wasn't that great? R-Truth is so great. This belt is great. I can't wait to see what the 24... Are you people brain dead? Or are you people 12 years old? That's gotta be. You gotta be maybe like 7 years old, right? That's why you think all of this is great. Because it's like watching a Looney Tunes cartoon. This isn't pro wrestling. This is an episode of Benny Hill. It was absolutely dreadful. And all the while, Drake Maverick following along like that lost puppy in the pack that never really makes it to the scuffle. Ridiculous. This guy's got so much sperm built up in him, he can't even walk. You see how he was stumbling around there? Go bang your wife, bro. Don't worry about the gold belt. Holy shit. R-Truth ended up being the champion before all was said and done again, and then ran off. Who cares? Oh, I'm sorry. And that's when he went into the back, and Elias clocked R-Truth with the guitar and pinned him to win the belt to end the shenanigans for the evening. Then we had the Sasha Banks segment. Natalya came out dressed in her regular clothes. She had her arm in a little sling thing, and she was talking about how her elbow was dislocated, and this was the 1 year anniversary of the death of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and she started to try to drum up some tears. I would think if there is truth to that statement, you would very easily be able to cry on camera. I mean, that's just me, and I'm not trying to nitpick on Natty, but the fact that maybe she was nervous caused her to not be able to cry on cue, and it made it seem a lot more forced than it actually was, because she's terrible at a promo. But thankfully, Sasha Banks returned to save us from not only this promo, but from the lackluster women's division. They do not have her beside Bayley. They do not have her in the tag division, and they do not have her on the babyface side of the equation anymore. And the mood, as Taz would say, is about to change for the ladies over there, and the blue-haired raven, that is Sasha Banks, is here to sink her talons into the flesh of the man Becky Lynch and wrestle away that Raw Women's Championship and win it back for what I think might be at this point the 4th or 5th time. And now, like I said at the top of the show, now you will all see what the real Sasha Banks is all about. It's going to be a much needed shift in the direction of the women's division. If, it's a big if, because we're talking about WWE here and Vince McMahon, if they do it right and if they keep on this track. The way they started it tonight, this was a great first step in the relaunch of Sasha Banks. Let's just see how far it actually goes. After this, they decided to give us the Viking Raiders, squashing 2 jerk-offs once again. And I'm not going to make the same complaint that I make every single week. All I'm going to say is it's time to move on. Either move on from this Viking Raiders gimmick and go back to NXT and be the War Raiders, or move on from this current path of destruction that means absolutely nothing because all you're doing is squashing jobbers, and it's actively starting to have a negative effect because nobody wants to see these 2 massive behemoths doing this. This was the same criticism I had of Braun Strowman 3 years ago, because that shit ran on too long as well. And then when they finally decided to pull the trigger on it, the poor guy was lukewarm at best. He definitely got hot one more time after that, but look at where we're at with Braun Strowman now. Do you give a shit about Braun Strowman? I'm betting you probably didn't when we got to the end of tonight's show. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and another thing that I can bring the hammer down on all night long. So we are just going to go past this because it is the second time I am going to have to tell you that Alexa Bliss pinned Kairi Sane in a championship matchup for the women's tag team titles. The fact that I have to say those words in a sentence, when I said it the first time, I felt really disgusting about it. And now that I have to actually say it again, not because I'm referencing that first time, but because it happened again, makes me want to send this hammer straight through this screen. But I don't want to hurt you guys at all. I want to direct my anger in the right direction. And it's not right to fire it at Alexa Bliss, because she's not the one deciding that she's going to win the matchup. The WWE putting Bliss and Cross, or Cross and Bliss, or Alexa and Nikki, whatever you want to call them since they don't have a name, over 2 of the premier women's talents in the entire world for the second time on national television is just wrong. It is wrong on so many levels that it's hard for me to come up with words in the English language to do the justice of the hammering that it deserves. Because it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Not that they needed to lose the titles tonight, but goddamn, if you weren't going to have these girls win, then you didn't need to have this matchup. You could have gave them 2 jobber females in a non-title match just to prove how awesome they are. And build up to the rematch with the Kabuki Warriors and have them win. This is fucking Asuka. This is Kairi Sane, a winner of the Mae Young Classic. The only woman to beat Shayna Baszler on multiple occasions. Unreal, man. Unreal. I love Alexa Bliss's ass as much as the rest of you pigs out there. Alright, I'm only human. She's gorgeous. Everybody knows this. That's not one of the prerequisites for being the champion. You're in a tag team with no name, no identity, no reason to exist, and now they want to give the tag team championships TV time? But not when it was on anybody else. Didn't see this much TV time on Sasha and Bayley after its inception. But now we're going to keep throwing these two at us, and they're going to keep being successful, and this is the team that's going to bring prestige? I don't get it, man. Of course, they had to air a message from Paige. Paige, who was not here, and guaranteed they were going to win. Get out of here with that. This is one of the most oddball pairings ever. I do not like Paige as the manager of the Kabuki Warriors. It's so weird. So weird. And her little Instagram message video was very weird as well. Was it really necessary? Couldn't Michael Cole have just filled us in on that little nugget? We had to see Paige in her stupid little ducky hat. If you don't know what a ducky hat is, you could look that up. If you know what I'm talking about, then you're about as old as I am. The one thing that I did notice about this match that I don't know if many of you guys caught it, and I don't know if maybe I was hearing things. I replayed it a bunch of times, and my wife heard it as well. But I'm pretty sure that outside the ring, after Alexa Bliss dodged the kick by Asuka that made Asuka kick the ring post, Alexa Bliss drove her into the post, to which I can swear to God I heard Michael Cole say, shit. As I live and breathe, and we rewound it back, and I don't think he was going to say shift. I don't think he said shit. I don't think he said sit. I'm pretty sure the guy exclaimed, shit. And all I could do was laugh. You see, it's happening right now. I started laughing. I don't know why I started laughing, but I laughed. Michael Cole trying to be cool? I don't know what it is. Are they trying to be edgy? They never said shit during the Attitude Era and let it fly on camera. I know that they do that after the 10 o'clock hour on FX and, shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Sons of Anarchy and shows like that on network television. They're getting away with dropping curses and stuff in their lingo, but to hear Michael Cole react to Asuka being pushed into a ring post saying shit. Like, I could just see him sitting there, shit. Like, what was supposed to be the follow-up? Shit, that looked like it hurt. Or, shit, that was crazy. Like, but he didn't follow it up. He was just like, shit. I don't know why it makes me laugh. It just makes me fucking laugh. I'm sorry. But what's not funny was the end result of this matchup. Kairi Sane ends up hitting the insane elbow, but before all was said and done, it would be broken up, and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross would end up your champions, retaining their championships. It's that bad. It's so bad that it's just fried me. And did you just see it deflate me? Because I want to just end this review right here. But we got more to talk about. Backstage, Seth Rollins cut a very desperate promo. The guy looks like he's got no oomph anymore. Remember when Seth Rollins was bad? And he was like a sniveling little weasel, and he was like, I'm part of Triple H's crew, man. Like, there was life in... He looks like he has no life in his eyes. It's like he's just the Terminator, man. He's just a robot inside of a human shell, and he's delivering the lines the way they want him to say it. It didn't come off genuine. It sounded ridiculous. He's going to remind AJ Styles who the real champion is. By the way, AJ Styles is a real champion as well, Mr. Rollins. The United States Championship, last time I checked, was an actual belt. It's made with gold, and it has a leather strap. So it is a real championship, which makes AJ Styles a real champion as well. If you meant to say who the Universal Championship, who the Universal Champion is, then you would be correct. You dweeb. They add another promo for the King of the Ring, showing superstars like Chad Gable and Baron Corbin, and god damn it, man. God damn it, he better not win. And I know I probably just jinxed it by saying that. But man, what a travesty that would be. Ugh. The main event of the evening, the Universal Champion Seth Rollins defeated the U.S. Champion AJ Styles thanks to the shenanigans of the OC from the outside, causing the disqualification. That is not the story. This match was not the story. This wasn't really that impressive, I guess, because they knew it was all going to lead to nothing. They didn't really want to do much of anything out there. So we had the save be made by Ricochet, who came out and was easily outnumbered by the OC, but was then followed by the random appearance of Braun Strowman. Now, Ricochet coming out for the save, I could buy into, I could understand, because his history as of late with AJ Styles for the United States Championship, so it would make sense that Ricochet would come out to get involved. What the hell reason does Braun Strowman have to come out there and help? Why? What did the OC do to Braun Strowman? Is there an incident that I'm forgetting about? Please enlighten me if that's the case, because I don't know any reason that I could think of whatsoever for Braun Strowman to give two shits about somebody getting beat up by a group of guys. This is Braun Strowman. Last time we seen him, he was huffing and puffing and getting all pissed off and looked like he was going to go do something special. And then he disappeared, and now he's coming out tonight and he's making the save on Seth Rollins and helping out Ricochet. And all I could think is, this is what happens when Vince doesn't have the Shield. And this epic encounter, champion versus champion non-title matchup, was really nothing more than an advertisement and a promotion for what is most definitely going to be a six-man main event featuring all parties involved at the conclusion of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Were you happy to see Braun? I could care less. I'm indifferent to him. All I know is it didn't make sense. And when things don't make sense, it makes me hate them a whole lot more. I don't think I could hate on anything more than Monday Night Raw as a whole. I enjoyed the Sasha Banks segment just like the rest of you guys. I enjoyed the Drew McIntyre Cedric Alexander match. Everything else outside of that, I didn't enjoy at all. And in fact, I didn't even enjoy the announcement of the King of the Ring. Because it was like going to Grandma's house. You know what I'm saying? When you were a young kid, every time you went to Grandma's house, she had your favorite dessert, right? And she had that chocolate chip cookie that she baked herself, right? And she made it just for you. And there was the one for your brother, and there was the one for your sister, and there was the one for everybody that there. But Grandma made you your special cookie, and there was nothing better in the entire world. And that's how I'm kind of thinking of the King of the Ring when I look back at it. It was like nothing better when it was done right. It was fucking fantastic, and it was so special. It was like that delicious grandma cookie that you can't get anymore because you can't go back to Grandma's house anymore, and Mom just don't make it quite the same as Grandma did. And the same is held true for this King of the Ring. You can't go back to those things that made it awesome. But by not trying, and by not making it its own separate thing, and by making it a ratings grab gimmick for Monday Night Raw, you've essentially allowed Vince McMahon to come into Grandma's house and shit in the cookie dough. That's how I feel about the King of the Ring. You want to see it live in reenactment of me watching? Oh, we're going to have the King of the Ring. next week on Raw. And the rest of the night didn't go much better than that. Only perked up for Sasha Blue and for that great match. Other than that, the rest of the show was absolute nonsense as usual. I like to show you guys a lot of absolute nonsense during this show, but in a good way, because we try to keep it entertaining and keep you guys coming back for more here at Sledgehammer TV, home of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show and the Hammering Hollywood movie reviews. Thank you guys all for being with me. This episode right now, since you're with me right now, we're going to close out in a big way, celebrating our 3rd year anniversary, which has now officially come to a close. And we are finally in year 4. And again, I want to thank all of you who have been with me through the last 3 full years from day 1 to this day, right here and right now. 1,842 people decided to join and stay on board. We have lost quite a few brothers along the way. I don't know what it is, because I'm pretty consistent. I don't know what would make you want to unsubscribe, but if that was the case and you're still watching me, please feel free to come back into the fold. And if you have never been a member and it's your first time here and you enjoyed anything we had to do or say on this show tonight, you can hit that like button, share this video with all your friends, and then urge them to join you in subscribing right now. We did not make the 2,000 subscriber mark by the end of SummerSlam, but we do have till the end of the month, and that's what we are going to hope to do. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the month, and you guys only have 5 more days to get your hands on one of these bad boys, the all-new Sledgehammer Wrestling Show CM Punk-inspired t-shirt, which came to me today in the U.S. Postal Service, and it is absolutely fantastic, and you should get your hands on one, because in 5 days, when that timer expires, this shirt goes away forever. Forever, man. I will never bring this shirt back. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to commemorate the end of the 3rd year, and year number 4 will have different and new designs. Get it now before it's gone. 5 days remain. Get it while it's hot. I will run the ad at the end of the show, but the link is down in the description below. Make sure you click it and go pick out your favorite. If you're not a CM Punk guy, you don't have to pick that. We got the logo t-shirt. We got the channel logo t-shirt. Available in all colors, shapes, and sizes. Show your loyalty. Take a picture of yourself in your awesome Sledgehammer Wrestling Show t-shirt. Get it to me on social media, and you will find yourself on this very show that you love so very much. And I love each and every one of you guys. Thank you all for being with me once again. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. My name is Nick Nightmare, your host with the most, and you, my friends, are the most important member of the team as always. That is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you tomorrow night for your SmackDown Live review and the finale of SummerSlam Week 2019, right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.
Awesome! T-shirt time! You gotta be wearing the official t-shirt. The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. T-shirt time! You gotta be wearing the official t-shirt. T-shirt time! Do it.